Okay, we're going to call to order the January the 9th city meeting, and we're going to start with our pledge of allegiance, and then we'll do our invocation. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we're going to have Brother Russ come from Mount Carmel and say our invocation and lead us in prayer so that we can do our work.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity tonight. We're full of gratitude as we gather for this first meeting of this new year in January. Thank you for the blessings of a fresh start, a new calendar year, the opportunity for these leaders to serve the city of Cross Plains. We lift up the newly elected mayor and commissioners who have answered the call to lead. Grant them wisdom, humility, and spirit of collaboration as they guide our community. May their decisions be marked by integrity and a genuine desire to serve all the people of our city. Lord, we ask for your presence to fill this room, inspire each commissioner with clarity, courage to address the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Let every discussion be guided by respect, unity, and a shared vision for the flourishing of our community. We also remember those who come before us, thanking you for their dedication to the foundation they've laid. And may we continue to build upon their efforts in a way that honors you and benefits future generations. We ask your blessings and protection upon the city employees who protect and take care of our community. Watch over and protect them each and every day, and especially in light of the weather tomorrow. Father, bless the citizens of Cross Plains. Strengthen the bonds that unite us as neighbors and help us to work together for the common good. Lord, may your peace and provision rest upon our city. May your guidance shape every step that we take. Tonight, it's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. I want to do one little thing that's a little bit off the agenda. As most of you know, Barry served as mayor from 1994 to 2024, so 30 years of service, and we have a clock to give to him to commemorate his time and his dedication to the city. And he wasn't able to be here tonight, but we're going to get this to him. So, Stan, would you mind taking this to him at some time? Y'all guys can see it. It looks really good. And also, Kenny Swan had served as our Parks and Rec director for, I'm not sure how many years he was here.
I'm not sure either.
Several, but we got him a little something as a thank you for his time and service as well. We want to always remember our history as we're moving forward to the future. And fun fact, my dad was the very first mayor, so I'm excited to be following his footsteps. So, on the minutes, we have the December the 5th one, or no, we have the 11th. Okay, we're going to forego the reading of the December the 5th minutes because of time restraints on Holly. She's had a lot to get together over the holidays. So, have you guys got a chance to read over the December the 11th meeting? On the 11th, we worked on the financing for the new fire truck. Any corrections or amendments? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I'll second.
All right, so the minutes for the December 11th meeting is approved as stands. Okay, so our financial report. Holly, you want to kind of work us in on that? We have what we're looking at here.
Okay, in the general fund checking account, at the end of December, we had $175,697.21. In the fire fund checking account, we had $59,251.56. In our CDs, our playground CDs, we have $13,064.94. The general fund, the general CDs, we have $892,856.76. And our road CDs, we have $96,102.79.
Okay, and we've been working on our financials and making sure we've gotten everything in line the way we need. Do you guys see anything that you have questions about?
I did want to point out something that I furnished you all. When we went through the budget at the work session, I had mentioned the fund balance. So I printed you off a balance sheet. And at the bottom under the equity on the fund balances, I wrote the actual fund balances. For some reason, those fund balances have not been entered by the CPA as of 6/30/24. He entered them as of 6/30/23. So attached to that, I gave y'all a copy from the audit report for 6/30/24, and that's where I got those numbers. So, that's one thing that I mentioned to the auditor, but the other one is, in looking in the system, I noticed on 6/30/25, it had or 6/30/24, it had that fund balance at the beginning of the year of the $1,265,000. On 7/1, it jumped to the 1.49. And I don't understand, there's something maybe in the programming that's picking something up that I can't find. So again, I'll have to talk to the software vendor to find out what's going on, because I cannot find a difference there and why it jumped. I'm not very fond of this system for what we're trying to do with it. It's a lot of manual entries. I have talked to a software company, and I think I mentioned early on about the city, in my opinion, really needs a governmental financial software system that also will do court. And when we get closer to the budget discussions for the next fiscal year, I'd like to maybe get a couple more quotes and bring that before you, because it's something I think the city really needs. Everything needs to go through the system, generate receipts instead of us handwriting receipts. Because we're manually having to enter everything in here. So I think that would make a big difference. It's not cheap, but.
No. Any further questions from the commission? We spent a lot of time on Monday afternoon going through numbers and making sure everything was balancing out. So a lot of questions were asked then. So if there's not any questions, I'm looking for a motion to approve the financials for December as they're presented to you.
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So the financials for December of 24 are as approved. Okay, so we had, looking at our calls for the month, we had in the fire, we had 94 calls, and 33 of those was inside the city limits, and 61 was outside. We had, for the total calls in 2024, 1,001 was the total, 300 inside and 694 outside of the city, and 7 out of the county. Tommy, is that about normal, or is that more?
No, we're actually down about 120-something calls last year because of I-65 construction. So we've actually dropped a little bit on that.
Okay, do you have anything else fire related besides, we'll get down here to the ISO in a minute, but, okay. So the police had 33 calls. Dan, do you have anything to report as far as the police department?
No, man, I think that's
33 calls doesn't seem too terribly bad. You're doing pretty good.
I think that we're very lucky to have a great community. We have very low call volume, which is great.
Okay. All right, so now we are to public comments. And the public comments, if you sign up on at the podium, could be for anything that's on the agenda for tonight. So do we have anybody that would like to talk about anything? have any comments? Has anybody signed up?
No, ma'am.
What? Okay, so moving right along, as the new year and new commission is put together, each board is reconfigured for the new year. We have 3 boards in our community. One is the beer board, which does all the beer permits, approves any new permits, those kinds of things. Our commissioner that's gonna be serving on that is gonna be Jimmy Baum. We're gonna have Ann Beth Pearson, Chris White, and Terry Tobit. I'm still waiting on one to confirm on that one. Our planning and zoning is headed up by Daniel Cheney, our building inspector. Myself as mayor sits on that commission, and Sherry Johnson will sit as commissioner. Amanda Keith, Jeff Gates has agreed, and Angel Sharplet and Ross Swan will be sitting on planning and zoning. Parks and Rec is a little bit of the direction of what goes on in the park, and we will be looking for a director soon, being that Kenny Swan left us. And we'll have a rep from junior pro football, a rep from Dixie Youth, a rep from soccer, and a rep from the basketball, junior pro basketball. Dickie Eden will be sitting there as commissioner, as well as Andrew Tobit. And so those are our new appointments for the board for this new year. Is there any kind of questions on those, or do they all look good to you guys? Okay, do they need to be approved, or do they? The planning is that way. Okay, so the only one of these that has to be approved via impasse is the planning and zoning, the commissioner that sits on it. You guys have to approve that Sherry is okay for her to be on planning and zoning. So I just need a motion and a second and a vote on that.
Make a motion for Sherry to be on the planning and zoning commission.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, so it's passed that Sherry will be on, sitting on planning and zoning. Where are we gonna do? Sure. We have a service, Impact helps us come up with everything, or if we have any questions, there are our go-to person for that. And our representative is Mr. Gary Jekyll, and he's happy to be here tonight, I'm sure, on this cold night. And, we were just gonna have him introduce himself, tell kind of what he does and how he helps us to get things going and that kind of thing. He's helped us write ordinances and our, city manager job description. So, Mr. Gary.
Okay, the Municipal Technical Advisory Service is a part of the University of Tennessee. We exist specifically and solely to work with all of the cities in the state of Tennessee. Much of what we do, actually most of what we do, is free to every city regarding issues, questions, problems, recruiting, that we can help you all with when there's information you need or answers to certain issues, certain problems. We literally, as an organization, we have someone who works for us that knows every field that your community operates in, from police to fire to water, sewer, parks, utilities, management, finance. There is not a field that you could ask us a question and we don't cell phone just about all the time. And if I don't know the answer, I know somebody who does. And it doesn't usually take very long to find the answer to most any question that you're going to have. One of the things I would encourage some of you who are new on city council is that we have a program called the Newly Elected Officials Academy, and we start that I think later this month for three evenings. I'd encourage as many of you that can take advantage of that, because I think you will learn a lot going through that program about what it is you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, down to some of the legal aspects of how we do our we don't need more. But you can look Holly has my number. You can find my number on our website, and you need to look through our website. I think there's some good information that will help you at various times. But we are all available to help. And several of us actually live in this area that you would deal with. I live down in Gallatin. Our HR person lives over in White House. So when I say we're nearby, I'm less than half an hour away on a good day.
Maybe not tomorrow, but.
Well, I'm originally from up north, so that may not bother me.
I may not bother you. And we appreciate all the hard work and help that you've done. I know I've made several calls and some others have too. You're probably like, oh, somebody else from Cross Plains is calling, but we appreciate everything that
I would like to say that I've worked with Gary all of those 25 years. He did not have gray hair when he first went to work for us.
So did you give him the gray hair?
I did, but you probably can't see my gray hair. I've probably got a head full, but I have worked with him for many, many years.
So we do greatly appreciate your services and appreciate.
You guys are signed up right for the class?
Yeah, I signed up for the class and look forward to it. And do you have an updated resume? Are you interested in city manager?
We're looking.
He's been at that a lot.
Not for another 3 years.
Not for another 3 years. Okay. Okay, so the ordinance.
Does anybody have any questions over
Oh,
the
yeah,
job
do you have-
description while he's there?
On the job description, did y'all look over that Mr. Jekyll took our,
No, I didn't have any.
recommendations and kind of made our description of, he can answer any questions, because you will post that on, or it will be, once we approve it, will be posted. It will be, he will be the one that will post it up.
I didn't change very much of what you all put together, to be honest. There really wasn't a whole lot of need to do that. There's a few tweaks to it in terms of putting an advertising the position. Some of the rest of what I wasn't worried about is are things that are already in your city charter in terms of some various responsibilities of city manager. And they're laid out already in the city charter. So I didn't feel that really the need to add that because it's already someplace else. But I felt you, for the size of your community and what you're looking for someone to be able to do, what you included will help people understand what's important to you all for them to be able to do. And we've been pretty successful. We tend to put that kind of advertisement at the Tennessee Municipal League, on our website, and, the Tennessee City Management Association website, and their group as well. And we'll set that up as well, shortly after you approve sending it out.
Okay, so any other questions you guys have for Gary? Okay, the next order of business is on you, Holly.
Okay, so ordinance 2501, which is to amend the 2024-25 fiscal year budget to reflect the actual revenue and expenses in multiple line items. And this is on first reading. So, it's a lot of information that I gave you, but if you look at the attachment, well, in the ordinance as well, we pretty much went over everything, at the work session on these budgeted, on the line items that we were gonna amend. The one thing we probably didn't that I changed on here, we talked about the, grant proceeds for the Government Highway Safety Office for the police department. I believe I had 7,500, and it's actually, the chief, mentioned that it's actually 10,000. And he spent 7,900. So I made that adjustment in the expense also under the police department, and increased, the grant equipment to 10,000, which will be offset by the grant proceeds. But also on the body cameras, the quote that he had mentioned at the work session, I believe was from prior to January 1, so the price went up. So it's $18,000 for the body camera. I went ahead and added, he had asked to leave some money in the drug fund instead of the 9,000, so I put 8,000 out of the drug fund and 10,000, for the police equipment in the police department. So that is still something we can get bids. We will get bids and then we'll bring them back to you for approval. If that's something that you guys want to wait until next year, we can do that too. We can take this back to a work session. We can schedule another work session the 1st of February or anytime this month and go through these again. If there's any changes that need to be made, you can do anything prior to the second reading. So we'll have a public hearing, which will be advertised in the paper, and then our second reading should take place at our February regular meeting.
So you've mentioned the main differences from the work session. So is there anything else that you see that you have questions on or concerns? No, we don't have to read this, right?
No.
No. Okay, so this is the first reading of the ordinance to get the 2024-25 budget to its actual numbers. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the first reading.
I'll make a motion
To approve it,
to approve the first reading.
okay? Need a second on that, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. All right, so it's approved and moved to the first reading. Do we need another work session on this particular item? Or do you think that we covered it all on Monday fairly well?
I think Monday covered it really well.
We spent a lot of time on it on Monday. Okay. All right, so that will be, we'll advertise this for our public hearing at second reading for the February meeting, which will be, what's the date in February?
And also, once you look at this closely or whatever, if you have any questions at all, please call me. It looks like it will be February 6th.
Okay. Okay. So February the sixth, we'll have a public hearing, at 6 o'clock and then, or 6:30? It's usually 6 or 6:30, right before the regular meeting.
We usually put our public hearing on the same agenda, and it's just before the reading, is what we did. So the meeting starts at 7,
What's
it's
the
gonna be
best
on the
way to do
agenda
that,
as public
Mr.
hearing.
Jekyll? What's the best way? Should we do it before the meeting or during the same one, or what's your suggestion on that?
Whatever you're comfortable doing, and there isn't any specific, other than the hearing has to happen before the second reading.
Gotcha. We can just put it,
You can do it however you want.
are you okay with doing it on the same agenda just before the second reading of it?
Absolutely.
That way we're not here any longer. Okay, so we'll do it during that meeting then.
Okay.
Okay, so old business, we have, we were gonna ask Tommy to come up and give us a, update on our ISO ratings. He's been working on that and, give us what you know and,
Right now, we're still waiting on, impasse fire consultants coming next week. We haven't done, we're still working on our hose test and getting our hydrants, all our stuff updated. We started updating the computer, a new computer program, and, it's gonna take a little time. We've got some training still to do. I had a couple more applications this week, but most of them are wanting to do part-time stuff. One of them, today was off Highway 25. He's a fire captain out of, Los Angeles, California. I kind of told myself, I think you need to go back down and help him.
he might be making that. So kind of update everybody about how many employees you actually have, how many firemen we have full-time, how many part-time we have, just so everybody knows.
We still have 4 the full-time. Actually, one of them had dropped back. He went to work at another job, but he's still working. I've got a part-time that's filling in part-time. Whenever he's off in the mornings, he's still working night shifts, and he took another job. We, got a couple more that we're looking at part-time. Christmas Day, we had started out to be a possible structure, and we ended up with 4 people on the scene. So,
And to get credit for the ISO,
yes,
you have to have 5.
we gotta have 5.
Okay. So we're just lacking.
And also, I'd like to see, last of January, I wanna do a public meeting about the ISO and explain why we had what ISO we had, and also why it went down, and how long it had been since we had been graded. And, if one day y'all can be here, and we'll have it put on Smoky Barn and the webpage and all that.
Okay. Okay, we'll get that scheduled. You wanna do it the end of January or the 1st of February? What do you think?
And either way, only reason I hadn't had it is because I was waiting on this fire consultant to
Do
get
you know
his
for
stuff
sure
back.
they'll be here next week?
He said he'd be here within the next couple of weeks, and that was about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So
Maybe let's wait until he comes and then we'll schedule it,
that's
you put
why
it
I'm
out
saying
there.
maybe the last of January.
Yeah, okay. We'll schedule that after he comes through when we're able to talk to all that. All right, thank you, Tommy. Okay, on the new business, last month, we approved Holly to be our interim city manager, but all of us were not paying attention and we did not approve her to get paid for that position. So, we would like to, see Holly get compensation for all of her hard work, because she has put a whole lot together and is doing a very good job in a very hard job that's not always easy. So I would like to recommend that we pay Holly the original, city manager salary for the month, for the time period that she has been doing the city manager job, which is what, $724 a month. And, you started doing this officially, you were doing it in November, were you not?
I'm not sure exactly when it started. You didn't officially appoint me
Until December.
But Chip's last day was October 31st.
Okay. So, opinions, thoughts on Holly getting the 724 for what time frame? Do you think Holly should get the 724?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we just need to figure out, does she need it for November and December and going forward, or
You could just make it effective for when you appoint it.
for December?
For whenever that was, if you want to do that.
Okay, 'cause I think that was December the 5th is when we officially appointed her as interim. So, and until we get a new city manager hired, would you agree to 724?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking for, a motion and a second on, giving Holly the 724 interim pay.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Hi, you just got money back for a little bit of time. Okay, and speaking of city managers, we're in the process of looking for a city manager. And we have just on Monday, where did that go? Worked on getting the city manager. Here it is. Job description up and together. And, Mr. Jekyll worked on that and got us together, and, he will post it once we get it approved and going. Did y'all have enough time to read over that?
Mhm.
And it was basically what we went over, and it goes through our charter completely. Did you see anything that you questioned?
Mhm.
Do you see anything that needed to be added or changed, or? Okay, so looking for a motion to approve the advertisement for city manager and to give, MTAX the permission to post it and start getting some more applicants. We will, were you able to contact the other applicants?
I have
yet?
not done that yet, but what you're looking for is a motion to approve the job description and the salary of $18,000.
All right, yes, because we had agreed on 18,000,
Mhm.
increase it to 18,000 for the year. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the description, or the job description and the, compensation.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
That's second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we got that going. So that was just approved and moved forward. Okay. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the memo of understanding with the ERHS on the sign. East Robertson High School is putting a new sign up that's gonna be a digital sign. And, the city of Cross Plains has voted to help them financially with that. And in doing so, with the changes of administration on both sides that happen frequently, we just wanna make sure that we have something in writing that says we have rights to put stuff on there, advertise our city meetings, different kind of sign-ups, safety day, those kind of things. We're gonna work together to do these things. And so they have written up, or I guess the school board wrote this up. So, for us to be able to be in partnership with the school sign, which will be right across the street. Any questions?
I thought it was very well written. The only thing that I would like to see changed, it's given us a 10-year, use of the sign with an opportunity to renew after those 10 years. And with the amount of money that we're donating, I would like to see that to either be 20 or 25 years. A little more lengthy than just 10.
On a memorandum, they always gotta be revisited when administration changes hands, so you're gonna do it, you could do it every 4 or 5 or 10, it's not.
Well, it's not gonna be administration, it's gonna be the director of schools whenever he leaves. Because that's who we'd be doing it with, the director of schools. I just would like to see more than 10 years.
We've worked with him on this, what he,
I don't think, I mean, I understand what you're saying, I'm not, but it's still a community city, I mean, you know, I don't see them going nowhere. I think you can't cover everything, you just don't know what's going to happen.
well, will the sign be obsolete before 10 years?
I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe the question, just wondering.
I don't think so. I think we'd be more worried about charter schools and the community schools than with the sign being built.
If
I've got no issue with the 10 years. I don't.
Somebody just has to remember in 10 years.
Yeah.
Renew that agreement.
Hey, we gotta renew it, or, you know,
So,
gotta have it done.
I agree, I don't think there's gonna be any issues with allowing use of the sign. Yeah, and I wasn't,
Something more to see.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see this being too terribly.
When are they anticipating putting the sign up?
They're already working on that. I know they were working on here. I know they were already working on getting the stone material and stuff like that. And I think the sign had to be ordered pretty quick because it was gonna have to be. I think it was ordered once we approved, or started the process, I guess, when we approved all that last month. I think so.
I think that went pretty fast once
Everything's done.
everything's done.
So, looking for some sort of motion.
I'll make a motion to
Adopt it.
the county's
All right, and a second for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay, we haven't written there to get, correct?
No, and that just reminded me, I did not include that in the budget amendment.
So we're gonna have to
So-
work on that before we.
Well, yeah, I can
Okay.
make that adjustment and, before the second reading, so we'll do that. That's like a 25,000.
Okay, so, I don't know if y'all know, but our meetings are streamed on YouTube after the meeting. It's not live streamed, but it is videos right now and then posted on, the city's YouTube page for future, looked at. It's usually done the next day, Stan. So the only camera that we had up until tonight was this one, and it was getting the back of us, and it wasn't hearing what we were saying, and it was giving lots of trouble. So we have put one here that's now looking at all of us, and the microphone's in the front, so it's supposed to be able to pick up our voices on this side and be a better quality. We're working with a gentleman out of Adams, right?
Sportsville or Evans or somewhere. Yeah, it's in that area.
And, his name is,
Andy White.
why can I not remember that? And he does a really good job. He's even working on getting us some equipment so that we'll be able to live stream the meetings as they're going on, which will be great for the community to be able to watch as it's happening. But right now, we're doing this part to try to improve, to make things better. He has been pulling off the videos and placing them on the YouTube for us, and he's been doing it for free. And some of the meetings here lately have been quite lengthy, and it's taking him upwards of 18 hours to pull the meeting footage. He's been putting captions on it. He's been having to do a whole lot. One reason we're now using the gavel is so he will know when to start and when to stop the video, because before he couldn't decipher when it started. So he has asked for the city to pay him $75 for 2 videos a month, whether that's a work study, a planning and zoning, whatever meeting that goes on, as well as the city commission meeting, so. And that's more than fair for the amount of work that he's doing and the service that's going on. So, we agreed to start paying him the $75 for the video services. If he goes over more and more meetings, like if we're doing 3, 4, 5, 6 meetings a month, there will be a nominal fee added on to that 75, but, and with he built his own computer system that will be able eventually to do a live stream, but he's got this, so it'll be easier to do all this stuff. He's very technical, very knowledgeable in what he does, and $75 is very well worth what he's doing. And what is that for the year?
It'll be $450 for the rest of this year, so that'll be covered under our miscellaneous fee.
So, I think I had told you guys about that, and, do we need to make a motion on that, or is that?
You can just have it on the record.
Okay. I just want to get us a motion to approve to do that, for him to do that, $75 for 2 videos a month, just so we have it approved and on record, if you guys agree.
I'll make that motion.
And a second? All in favor? Okay, so, Daniel,
This morning,
could you stand up, and our next, agenda listing is you, and you can tell us, kind of explain what you are.
I mean, I'm not a preacher or anything, but
we've been working, or I should say, it's been a desire of mine for the last year or so to get the zoning ordinance updated. It was adopted in, I think, like 1985. I looked earlier. So 40 years. That hurts. So it's been amended a few times, obviously, but generally it's pretty much the same as it was. And so we're long overdue, in my opinion, for us to get that updated. And that's why I reached out to Barge, who had done the new zone for us out by the interstate for that development, and they gave us a bid of like $30,000. 36,000. Holly thought it was extremely high, which she's right, and so she was put in contact with someone through MTAS, I think, and got a proposal from her to do this, and she does this for a living now. I didn't know who this person was, so I talked to her. I called her last night, and I talked to her for probably 30 minutes. However long it takes to get from Bowling Green to this side of Franklin, and she has a strong background in city management and ordinance. She has worked in this field a lot, and so I felt a lot better after talking to her. And I feel great, especially because her proposal is like $3,000, not to exceed $3,000, which she gave us, which is it's a great deal financially for us. So from my standpoint, this is something that I would love to see, that I recommend to the commission. I would love to see the city take on, because like I said, it's long overdue. It's time for us to get this thing updated.
And when you say updated, you mean? So
what she's going to do? There are officially 5 amendments to the ordinance up to 2018, and there have been several since then that aren't documented in this outdated copy that I carry in my truck, where people call me every day asking, hey, what's the setback for R1 or whatever. I mean, this is what I have. Like, this is what I carry. It's 2025. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. It's quite simply. And so it's time that we kind of catch up, I think, technologically with what we we have, I mean, it should be on the website, it should be searchable by any of you guys, anybody, really. I mean, it should be available to the general public and certainly to us, the people that are answering the questions. And so, for $3,000, you know, it's a no-brainer. She basically will take this ordinance, update it, and I talked to her for a long time about, we don't need somebody just to take this document and digitize it. You know, that's easy. I mean, we can pay an intern to do that. But we need somebody to look over it and say, okay, you might want to think about this. This is kind of antiquated. Let's think about how this is handled these days, you know, whatever, that kind of thing. And so, she is very versed in doing that sort of thing. And I mean, like I said, I felt great. I had zero expectation after the call, or before I called her, because I told Holly, I mean, I Googled her, she didn't come up in Google. And I thought, who's this person that we're hiring? You know?
And I had talked to her and he hadn't, so I knew all of these things.
So it turns out her maiden name was what was on the thing. Anyway, I wasn't even Googling the right thing, so. It might have been researching the person.
Maybe you should be updated.
Yeah, somebody needs to update me, we'll talk about that after this. But yeah, after I talked to her, I felt great about it, and I strongly recommend that we engage with her for her services to do this. I think it would be extremely beneficial, especially for that amount of money. I mean, it really is a steal. I mean, we got that bid from Barge to do it at $36,000 or something, and then Holly got examples from, I don't know, the city of Nolensville and a couple other places or something. They were six figures, you know, and these people are spending crazy amounts of money to do this, and we don't necessarily need that caliber of an ordinance, revamping, but we do need more than this here. And this is even a new notebook. Like, this is not the one I was given. It fell apart, literally fell apart. So that's the kind of place we're in.
And if any of you all have seen our zoning ordinance, we don't have it on a computer in Word format anywhere. What we have is the printed version. Anything that's been amended by ordinance, the ordinance is in the book in a paper form. It's not been integrated into the zoning ordinance. And my copy of that, I have like 15 Post-it notes all through there, all the sections, to revert back to this ordinance, revert back to this one was amended. So this is definitely something that we need to move forward. I just did not.
So there are ordinances, for instance, there are amendments, for instance, that change, let's say, the setback for zoning R1 or whatever. I don't know, that's probably not right. But if I go into the ordinance and somebody calls and says, hey, what's the setback in R1? And I say it's 50 feet off right away. Well, I forgot, in 1996, we changed it to 60 feet or whatever. You know, it's just back here in paper, and you just have to know it, and that's not good for anybody. So we really need to catch up, and this is a great way to do this. It's a no-brainer in my opinion, very much needed.
So if she goes in there and highlights some that's old and updates them, do we need to look at them with you, or she just gonna update?
So one thing I talked about with her last night is I would love for us to sit down and have just an initial kind of kickoff meeting. It can be with the city commission, and or the planning commission and myself, and just kind of talk through, you know, hey, what's the scope of work? What are you gonna look at doing? What can we expect at the end? You know, the deliverable from her is gonna be a Microsoft Word document and a PDF of the final version. But getting there and the work that's done in the meantime is we need to set that expectation to her for what we want her to do. But I think it would be beneficial for all of us and the planning board to sit down with anybody that's interested. I mean, it doesn't have to be everybody, but I think we need to make that available to the planning board and city commission to sit down with her, just take an hour one day and lay the groundwork for what we expect the end product to be. And she was very for that.
Sherry and Jimmy, any other questions for Daniel?
Not necessarily for Daniel, the only question I have is, it looks like a pretty standard contract, but do we need to have someone look at this? Or are y'all comfortable with the contract? I mean, it looks pretty standard, but I don't have a legal background, is what I'm getting at.
This hasn't been sent over to Mr. Freeman.
I think I copied him on email.
Yes, you did.
I did, yeah. But I didn't specifically ask him to review the agreement. I mean, I can.
Is there any line that sticks out to you that
Well,
you don't like?
I'm just kind of reading through it quickly, you know, while trying to listen to Daniel, and
I didn't see anything. I read through it too when I was talking to her, when she sent it to me. And as a matter of fact, we had to tweak, you know, one said Crossville, and so, you know, so I read through it and made sure that, you know, Cross Plains was where it should, Robertson County was where it should, but, everything
I
was fine
agree.
to me.
When I first read it, that was one, a red flag in my mind. I thought, you know, this person's just using some kind of boilerplate, contract to try to enter in, you know, just get some easy money from the city across Plains.
yeah.
And after talking to her last night, I can assure you she'd be very open to however we need to amend that and have it reviewed by whomever.
And to give you an idea of where I found her at, I contacted, well, Gary Jekyll, I started with him, but he put me in touch with, one of the MTAS, he used to be an MTAS planning consultant, and he is now city manager in Nolensville. So I tracked him down, and he called me back, and he's the one that recommended her, and as I said in my email, she comes very highly recommended. He worked with her for many years, and, he knew that, she had this business, and he is the one that recommended her. And Gary knew that there was someone out there, just couldn't remember her name, but, so she comes very highly recommended.
I will say that, we're talking right now about the zoning ordinance and our subdivision regulations, for instance, pretty much in the same boat. We haven't talked about that. She and I did last night, and, she brought it up. She said, what about your subregs? What are they like? I said, well, they're exactly the same, you know. And so there might be other things that we need to look at. And so, I want to put that out there that, you know, this is not the only thing that we're dealing with. This needs some attention, needs some updating. We need to bring this stuff up to speed. I'll be honest with you, it's embarrassing a lot of times. People, I mean, I answer multiple calls every single day from people that are either building or want to develop, want to subdivide, just asking general questions about, the regulations, you know, what the zoning is at their property, you know, what kind of do with the setbacks there. You know, that stuff, number one, ought to be online. I don't mind talking to people, I love it. But it ought to be online. They ought to be able to go there and see it. It's not, I mean, when I have to go look it up, and like I say, I take this with me everywhere I go because I have to reference it. And, I mean, I even have sections missing from this, you know, and I'm the one that's supposed to be answering these questions. And so it's embarrassing for me to say like, well, let me go, I'll get back to you. You know, it shouldn't be like that.
Where are the missing
2025.
sections, though?
I don't know.
You can look at my book and see if mine are missing.
Maybe between the two of us, we have
Yeah.
a full.
But I get those calls too, and of course I forward them to you, but
Yeah, I
they're
know.
asking me, so you have your,
Right.
yeah. You have
Are you gonna
zoning
make your
ordinance.
copies or hand over your book?
I would like to print out a new copy, but mainly I would like to be able to reference it on my computer or my phone, which is what everybody ought to be able to do. You know, any citizen and anybody who wants to do work in the city.
I'll send you my scanned copy that I've got on my computer. I
Think that's
scanned it
right,
all.
should be sending scanned copy.
I scanned it all already. But hey, at least I can send it to her that way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I didn't know if it would be beneficial to us to have Russell read this, but if y'all are okay with it, you know.
I will just say, she did say she thinks it's gonna be around 2,500. She said max, she put max 60. I think if it were maybe
60 hours.
25,000, yeah, max 60 hours. But she figured around 50. If it were 25 or 30,000, then I would definitely say yes. But I think that for, 2,500, 3,000, I think it's a standard agreement. But I can run it by, Russell. The only thing is will be postponed another month to get it back in front of you.
Is, payment at the end, will she, or is there a upfront, like?
I don't know what's specified in there, I'm sure she's not expecting to be paid up front.
Yeah, I think it did mention it in here.
I think it's 500, I think I just read that.
Yeah.
500, 500, okay.
I mean, you could,
I mean, we could
approve the
approve it,
agreement.
we can approve the
Pending
agreement
review.
pending Russell's
Yeah, you could do that.
review. I mean, I have no, like you said, I'd rather spend 3,000 than 36,000.
Yeah.
So that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think it would benefit us if Russell would just review it. I think that's, I mean, unless y'all are comfortable.
No, you wanna make that motion?
So I make a motion that we approve the, contract pending Russell's review.
I'll take that. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? All right, it passes.
All right.
Thank
y'all
you,
very
Daniel.
much.
Don't lose the books between now and then.
Well, don't worry. My truck's about to get impounded. And also, just so y'all know, I've updated this map, this is not it, but I've updated that map to include all the new zone, changes that's been made over the last, since 2019. And the reason it's not up there is I wanted to overlay the historical district, and so everybody had an idea of, when you're looking at it, because that also is another layer of what has to be reviewed and approved for work to be done in that area. And so that is a little ambiguous, the way it's described in the, I think it's an ordinance, actually. And so that might be something that I come back to you with soon, because I'd like to tighten that up a little bit. It says like, down to the creek by Russ's farm, whatever, I mean, we need to kind of probably tighten it up a little bit, because it changes what people can do in that zone.
Now, are you gonna talk to her and see if we need to schedule a meeting with?
Yes.
Okay, will you get back with us on that?
I will. Do you want me to wait here?
Let's wait until we hear from
Yes.
Russell first, and then schedule that, so that we can all get it on the calendar
All right.
to meet with the planning and zoning as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, city manager comments.
So I had a couple of things. I wanted to go back to the Christmas parade. So we had a good parade. It was a beautiful day. We thanked everybody. We appreciate everybody who came out and watched. But we do have some parade winners that we need to announce. We had a first, second, third place in the parade, and the first place winner was Bethlehem Baptist Church from Springfield. And we did send them a $100 check for first place. Second place was East Robertson Junior Pro Cheerleaders. They got a check for $75. And then third place was Milldale Presbyterian Church, and that was for $50, and that's for floats. So we appreciate all of them and everybody who entered the parade, and we appreciate that. Also, the Friday before the parade, we had an employee Christmas dinner here, And we had a fairly good turnout. The food was delicious. I do want to thank Terry Sharplet, who came and grilled, all the meat for us. And, also for Tammy and Hope Armstrong, she came out and helped, clean up, and then we cleaned up at the end. It took quite a while, but just wanted to send our appreciation to them and for everybody who helped with that dinner. And back to the parade, I want to thank the police and fire department also for helping, with the parade also. And, I think that's all I have.
Don? Okay, any commissioner have any comments, concerns, questions? Okay. I want to thank all of y'all for helping me this last month, get started in this position and get going. Thank you, Holly, for getting everything going, and I think it's been a pretty good first meeting of the year. We're gonna have a great new year. And if we don't have anything else, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second. Motion is adjourned.